have your fear, which might become reality. And you have Godzilla, which is reality.
I'm sick of Godzilla. Wake up, everyone! There are two things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
We're safe enough. No human being can understand that. The monsters on Monster Island can understand it.
Whether he returns or not, or is never again seen by human eyes, the things he has taught us remain.
Hello again from Monster Island. Thank you for joining us. We're here again today. I'm so excited for this episode. Jay, I'm actually really excited to hear your updated thoughts on this, on the trilogy, on the Godzilla anime trilogy is what we're going to be talking about tonight. But first, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. We were talking before the show went on the air that it's been really busy lately. Like a lot of kaiju related busyness, getting ready for. Hey, it's Kaiju Con season. We got G Fest in July and Kaiju Go in August. I know, for our fans on the East Coast, you guys were probably going to Kaiju Brooklyn this weekend, and on the West Coast, Monster Palooza. 5 Points Festival is coming up. Basically, June, July, and August, it is like kaiju centric cons everywhere, which is great.
You know, also, are you familiar with the Mahoning Drive-In?
I am. Yes, great documentary. I've never been, seen the documentary, aware of it, and I know they have one as well.
I went a couple years ago. I went up there for their yearly Zombie Fest, and I spent 4 days there just watching horror movies. But they are doing. I saw this pretty recently. I think it's at the end of. It's either at the very end of June or somewhere in the middle of July. They are doing a 4-day Godzilla marathon.
That's awesome.
And the first night, I believe, is Godzilla 1985 on 35 millimeter.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they're doing 2 nights of 3 movies apiece. And then on the 4th night, they're just doing 1 movie and they're showing 1998's American Godzilla.
Of course they are.
And I really want to go, dude. I was like looking at tickets and I was like, man, plane tickets aren't that bad, but it's like stuck right in the middle of like 2 California trips that I'm going on. And I'm just like, I don't think this is doable for me to come out to this, but I was like, maybe next year, maybe Jay, next year, let's go.
Yeah. And I think, hasn't friend of the podcast, kaiju artist extraordinaire Tom Whalen, I know he's up there in that area. Didn't he do maybe a poster or something for them one year? I
don't know if he did, but I know he does the Blobfest poster every year, which is in the same area. It's all the Blobfest is another thing. Jess goes to Blobfest every year because she lives pretty close to that area, and it's like the week before Comic-Con, and every year I'm like, fuck, I want to go to Blobfest, but it's like it's just not doable if I got to turn around and go to California a couple days later, you know.
Well, and I also think either that week or the week after, which coincides with the G Fest, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a big deal. On the West Coast, it's been going on for a long time. They have Godzilla Fest, which is 20 Godzilla films at the Balboa Theater, and then they're expanding this year, and so they have that, which is more very film centric.
Yeah.
Then they have this year for the first time in September, they're doing a Godzilla Fest convention, not to be confused with the G Fest, in Japantown in San Francisco. So they're trying to basically do not a 2-night, but almost like September and July, and make that one more kind of convention-y focused with guests and vendors as opposed to being film-centric. So that's going on also in July and September, still in this area. So there's just a lot of really good stuff. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Like, when I was a kid, I thought I was the only person who knew who Godzilla was, and when you're a kid, when the internet wasn't around and movies are harder to see on TV and you don't have any friends who watch Godzilla, it really is like a lonely fandom to be a part of.
Yeah.
And would have blown my mind as a child, or as a young man to be like, one day there's going to be so many happening, so many cons, so many fucking things that
can't keep track of them.
Yeah, you can't go to all of it, and that's a good problem to have. dude.
It's a great problem. And I like that it's like, yes, you have Godzilla Fest, which is still, it's the hub. It's still the biggest, but all these other events, now you're getting in all these different parts of the country. You have LA, you have San Francisco, you have Dallas, Fort Worth, you have, New York, New Jersey, like you have in Philadelphia, you have all of these areas where you can go attend an event that is very kaiju forward, Godzilla forward, or in some cases, just all Godzilla. I don't know. It is really cool. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I really don't. I think there's going to be more. And I think it'll be really cool when, now you can literally go to any tier B or C town and they have a quote unquote Comic-Con, a fan expo, something of that nature. I mean, you can go like Midland, Odessa.
Valdosta has a fucking dumb little con every year.
But I mean,
con.
I know, right? It's not like it probably won't get to that, but like I would love it if like, some other areas of the country that maybe aren't Atlanta, Dallas, New York, LA, Chicago, that might be like, something in one of these, in Nashville and whatever. So other places that people can go. Mm-hmm. It's not far off from that because I think there's just a lot of interest out there. Yeah. And as Godzilla grows, so does Japanese tokusatsu. And so like, I think other things like Ultraman and Kamen Rider and all this stuff is always kind of just, the rising tide, if you will. So exciting times. It's so great. It's so great.
Jay, I was watching a video. This, I guess, doesn't really pertain to the show, but it's kaiju related. I was watching a video, a guy who was in Osaka, just going around to toy stores, like toy hunting in Osaka. And I was looking this up because, where YHS Takes Japan is happening next year. And I was like, let me see what's up. So, there's a Godzilla store in Osaka. There's a couple other related stores. There's an Ultraman store, but he found this vintage toy store, and I'll have to go back and find the name of it. But the coolest thing about it was in the entrance to the vintage toy store was an Ultraman head that was like 8 feet tall. It was just Ultraman's head sitting on the ground. And I'm like, oh, that's like a life-size Ultraman's head. It was just like, he walked up to it and he was like, his head came to like where the eyes are. It's just a big, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. Like inside of a mall.
I wonder if it's the same Ultraman head that Mark Nagata has in his collection. That's basically, it's from the floor to the ceiling. He sometimes takes a picture. It's like 8 feet tall, I think.
It might be. Yeah. I saw it and I was like, what the fuck? I know, right? Insane. Yeah. So, all right, Jay, listen, we got, we'll do some pickups. You got some news for us.
I do.
Right?
I do have some kaiju news for you. Yes.
Okay. Well, you want to do the pickups first?
Yeah, we need like I still think we need some like music, like transitional music to like all of our segments. Hey, you're the music guy. You got to come up with that. I need like a good jingle. No, so I have one pickup, and it's not even kaiju related, though it does fall in the world of sofubi, divinal toys, and it does tie into the show. Because rewind back to 2 episodes ago, maybe last episode, and I was showing off. I got my Danger Dax, my Mad Max from Kaiju 1. Yeah, and I was like, oh man, they have all my favorite action heroes. If they would just have my number one favorite of all time, Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, they'll never make that one. And then like literally like that night or the next day, I can't remember. Jess, Jess, the great Jess, basically says, Jay, you're a moron. She sends you a note and says, hey, dumbass, they have made it. You haven't looked very hard. If you like this Jack Burton so much.
Exact words. She's very rude.
And you sent it, and I was like, well, bye. I didn't even look at the price. I really still don't know how much I paid for it. But I got my boy from the Pork Chop Express. There he is, Jack Burton. That's all awesome. Of the reflexes. You don't understand how happy I am to have this. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like Jack Burton and Big Trouble in Little China is Godzilla level for me, but it is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. It is one of the most rewatchable pieces of cinema, I think, in the world. Like, literally can watch it every day, and it's totally like, it's still zany and funny and awesome. And now Jack Burton's officially in Godzilla lore because, he's in, Monarch now. So we have the crossover can happen. But I love this. And Kaiju 1 does such good stuff. I mean, look, even like the shirt. I mean, look.
Yeah, it looks really good.
This is the Uzi and everything. I mean, thank you, Jess. This one I owe to Jess. Thank you for keeping me straight and educating me. And
I think she just got on eBay and was looking, to just see. And I think that's what she did. I think she just got on eBay and was like, she was listening to the show and she heard it. And whenever she hears us talk about toys, she just looks them up. So I think she just jumped on eBay.
Well, thank you for your kindness. Then
she sent it to me and I was like, she sent it to me. She was like, "Hey, is this that thing Jay's looking for?" I was like, "Oh, I think it is."
Yeah, Jay said it doesn't exist. Yeah, don't listen to me. I love it. So thank you, Jess. Thank you. It's truly one of my favorite pickups of 2024, and like no joke. And I just love it. And it's gonna be next to the Snake Plissken and the Mad Max, and I'm just like, love it, dude. I love it.
Yeah, that's a nice little collection.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to grow that one.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
That's all you got. All right.
But hey, but Jake, it's not the last show and tell I'm going to do. Wait to the news section. Not something I own, but it's a good one.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Stick a pin in it for now.
Okay. Well, Jay, I got a couple things, and you know what? Since you showed off something that wasn't really kaiju but sofubi related, I'm going to do the same. Now I got this from Awesome Toy, and it is a sofubi. It's not a kaiju, but I kind of bought it as an accessory for my kaiju. Sometimes they get bored and they want to watch a little TV.
I love it. So awesome, dude.
Maybe Godzilla's wanting to watch The Shining. I didn't even do this on purpose. I'm just wearing your Shining shirt.
That. Synergies, man. Synergies.
Yeah, I just thought this was cool. They threw these up. They do the Shining twins, and I got a set of those a couple years back. But they threw these up like $20. They had a couple different ones. I was like, oh, a sofubi Shining television set. That's a no-brainer. So
first off, I think that's one of the coolest things in the world. What you just got, so cool. I think I would love to see them do other categories, like have a TV with Godzilla or Ultra.
I wish this was like replaceable. It'd be cool if it had a little thing and you could pull it out and put other ones in,
like the old Simpsons.
Because it is just like a piece of paper in there, but yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And it just goes back to what we've talked about. And I know we're not the only ones, but I think we're the best of saying where's my sofubi playset? Like that is a market that has not been cornered yet.
There
are some that have like some display items like you have right there. But I want where is Monster Island the sofubi playset?
Yeah. Well, Jay, I don't know if I even told you this, but I've been buying, if you go to Target. Did I tell you about this? What I've been picking up at Target?
Yes, you did.
I did the little plants.
Yes. You told me. I don't think we did on the show.
Yeah, Target has these little blind box things. It's like in a little globe, and there's plants inside. But you buy it, and they're literally like this big, but they're like potted plants. But they come with like a little bag of dirt and a little trowel. And you open the bag and you put the soil in the pot and then put the plant in. And there's like 12 or 13 different ones per series. And I've been buying them because they just look good with the sofubi. They're like, I'm like, oh, they're plants for your sofubi. They look good in the displays. So
I think sofubi accessories market and play sets are, hey, Michael Morse has the sofubi.
Michael Morse, that's what I was about to say. Michael Morse is on the cut. Like he's doing it.
He's doing the right stuff, man. But yeah, playset would be great. I would love to have a little, I don't even know, you could have a little Planet X. You could have a lot of really cool stuff. You could put some new sofubi in there. It'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. This next thing I picked up in YHS did a little road trip a couple weeks ago. We went up to, we actually drove up to Pittsburgh and back. But we did stop in the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to meet the Mothman. Yeah. And there were a couple, not Mothra. Okay. The Mothman. But there were a couple gift shops in there, and the gift shops had, there was one gift shop in particular that was not just focused on the Mothman. It was open to all cryptids, whatever, but it had some books, and I'm looking at the books, and you remember those books you would get in middle school where, you'd get to a page and it would be like, now flip to this page and you could decide how it ends or whatever.
Choose your own adventure stuff.
Yeah. It's a choose your own adventure book. It's from a local to Point Pleasant author. They're all signed. The book, it's by Matthew Buckholtz.
Okay.
But the reason I picked this up is because it's a trilogy. There's 3 of them. I only grabbed 1. But the reason I bought it is because this is the cover.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
and I think so. Godzilla's on all 3 covers.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's supposed to be. Like one of them, the spines were like photoshopped off. It was literally Godzilla, but they photoshopped the spines out of it. But I'm like, that's clearly,
Oh yeah,
that is. I know it's out of focus, but that is Godzilla National Park Monster Ranger. This was to me the best cover of the 3, but the other 2 books are Night of the Monsters and Monster Island Escape. So
I love
it. It's an unofficial kaiju
it
thing,
counts.
but
It counts.
It's got Godzilla on the cover, so I had to pick it up.
And you got it in a store focusing on a giant moth. I mean, I know it's Mothman, so I mean, it all ties in loosely. Yeah.
He also signed them. So
that is an interesting signature.
That's a good purchase, right?
Looks like a Godzilla spine.
Have not read it yet, but yeah, good purchase.
I think that is ripe for a Jacob Walsh audio drama.
I'm just gonna do it. Read the whole thing.
Yeah, I love it.
Just blindly, just go right into it. Hopefully, it's good. Yeah.
No, we'll instead of doing the podcast, we'll release that every other week.
Yeah,
just a couple chapters. I love it.
I also got this from my good friend John Campopiano, good friend of ours.
Yes,
I think you might have helped him get this.
I think so. Yeah.
He
John's
sent
great.
me. He sent me a message one day, and he was just like, "Hey, you got something coming in the mail." I had no idea this showed up. Yep. And listen, I have not watched this. I have no idea what this is. I tried to look it up, could not find a trailer.
Yeah,
the movie is in its entirety on YouTube. So you can watch this on YouTube, but there were no trailers for it. I could not find much about it, but he got me this movie called Kappa, which, everybody knows I like Kappas.
Oh, yeah.
This really cool Japanese imported VHS. I love 2 things I love, Jay. VHS and Kappas.
Yep, I love it.
3 things I love: movies about weird creatures. So
free gifts from John. You love it.
It was free and it's awesome. So thank you, John and Jay. Thanks for helping him out with that.
No, John's awesome. Yeah, it was like he was sending me all of these like obscure horror movies to see. Like they had I could help him find some of the Japanese releases. And I mean, obviously John's a documentary filmmaker and has done so much stuff. And most of them I was like having no luck, or it was something. It was just so far out of my sphere of knowledge, right? Because it was some obscure indie one. And then he goes, "There's this one called Kappa," and I'm like, "I know Kappas. I can do. I'm gonna track this.
I can do Kappa."
I go, "I will lose all credit if I can't help you out on this one, man."
Is this the only one you were able to find for him? Was Kappa?
I found a few Kappas for him because I know he has one as well. But there was a couple other ones that we were able to track down. But that was the best. I mean, that was the one that came in. I was like, "Oh, dude, I'll just tell him I got lost in the mail and just keep it for myself." But he's like, he was like, what is Kappa like? It's a type of film, and I was like, and I just sent him a picture of the Kappa briner, the guy riding his cucumber car. I was like, this is a Kappa.
Okay, so he didn't even know what Kappa Kappa was.
You know what? You know what he would really like? I think you should let him watch Death Kappa because it is weird and well, let's you know what, we'll speak off. We'll get him a copy. Let's get him a copy of that. You know what else we should get him a copy of if you can find. Remember that movie Rex you got from me? Yeah. Let's get him a copy of that and I'll send it to him. I know he's not listening, so it'll be a surprise, but let's get him a copy and I'll send it. That'll be fun.
I'll pay for it.
We should really get him on the show, especially if we do like
we should
just to get like the filmmaker's perspective on something like,
well, we can talk about Snapper
from Beyond the Front or Snapper.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, he'd be a good one to have on.
Cool. I got a couple more things, Jay. So like I said, YHS took a little trip. On our trip, we stopped in Ohio, and there is a toy store there called the Toy Department, which is a fabled toy store. You hear about it a lot. It was amazing. A lot of stuff. Now, listen, I'll say this. It was amazing. Not like a ton of kaiju stuff. They had a good little display. It had a lot of stuff I owned already. But they did have 2 things there I did not have that I bought. And this first one is literally, it was one of the first things I saw when we got in there. And I was like, well, this is for me. This is the kind of stuff I like. It's weird. It's kaiju adjacent. It's not really a sofubi, but Jay, I picked up this official Ultraman wall clock. This is amazing. I had to have this. I've never seen this before.
Now, does that hang, or is that like an alarm clock that sits on like the desk?
It's got a little thing to hang it right here.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't. It won't stand like this.
That's cool.
So I think it's strictly to hang.
I love
it is missing the little bat. I tried to pull this battery out of it because you can hear it tick-tocking, and it like we were in the car on the way. We drove to Ohio. We're on the way back, and we're like, "What the fuck is that noise?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Jake's clock." I could not. It's a newer battery, but I just could not get it out. You know, I was like
fused in there,
stuck listening to the TikTok. But yeah, I could not. I could not get the Ultraman wall clock.
You know what? I'm glad. I don't think anybody is a collector until they own some sort of Ultraman clock or timekeeping device.
Yeah.
I think that's really what puts you over the edge. Like now you're a real toy collector.
Thank you. And it does all this stuff is like facts. Birthplace, the M78 Galaxy, 3 million light years. His height, his weight, his flying speed, Mach 5. His weapon, and his time limit on the Earth, 3 minutes. So
first color timer.
We got everything here. It's great.
I love it, man. That is really cool, man. You got to between that, the TV, and all this. You have a really.
I got some good
pickup.
Oh, well, the last thing on my list here is on my. I have 2 more things, but the last thing I'm going to show off is on my top 10 list.
Oh, we need a chime or something that
I know.
We got a top 10.
So this is the other thing I bought at the toy department in Ohio. They had a collection of Trendmaster stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And some of it was rare stuff. Luckily, I already own most of it, or I would have been in trouble. They had a Megalon in package, but I was like, you know what? Matt Bush already got me that, so I don't have to buy
this. Covered.
Because I would have bought it. It's like $300. I would have fucking bought it. They had a good bit of Trendmaster stuff. They only had 2 Trendmasters things I did not own. One, I was like, this one, whatever, some other time. I'm not going to get them both. But I had to pick up in package this action walking Ghidorah.
Yes, the walking Ghidorah.
Really walks, action wings, realistic skin. What a weird toy. But the fact that this is still... Now, this has been opened. It's not sealed, but it has not been played with or taken out of the... it's hard to tell, but it's still... That's attached
amazing.
to the box and got all the plastic.
The box looks clean, man.
All of the stuff is still, dude. Look at this. It's like what is this? It's a postcard, but it's like a
like their membership, or is it?
Thank you for purchasing a Trendmasters toy. We at Trendmasters strive with great enthusiasm, design and produce high quality toys. This is it's a suggestion thing. You fill it out. But this has got the instructions. It's everything. It's complete.
I love that.
Just these old Trendmaster boxes are amazing.
They're so good.
So I mean, it's worth the money just buying it, just to have this artwork and in this box. So
the monster lineup on the backs are always cool.
It's amazing. Yeah. So had to have this.
Love that. That's another awesome pickup, man.
Yeah, thank you. One more thing. Sent to me by Matt Bush. I cannot believe he's doing this kind of stuff. I thank you for listening, for watching, for being awesome. Jay, do you remember a couple weeks ago, Matt Bush sent me the vintage die-cast Bandai Godzilla?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he sent me another one.
Oh, nice.
He sent me the Mecha Godzilla.
Oh, look at that.
I got the box in pretty good shape here.
That bull marky goodness.
And then here he is.
There he is.
Right here.
I love it.
At this fucking toy, dude.
I love it. It's such a good toy. It's so good.
This is a line that, you don't see very often. A lot of people don't have these. Man, I got 2 of them now. I got to keep going. This is a line I'm going to have to keep going into.
I'll tell you the Mechagodzilla, that one to me, like when I think of this line and I think of like what is the, I don't want to say standout piece, but what's the most iconic piece? I think it's that Mechagodzilla.
It's the Mecha
with the yellow like kind of chest plate with the blue outline. I feel like
and this, it comes down. There's a rocket in there. I think this one and the Gigan are the like.
I agree.
They are the crazy, but it's like you need the. I mean, it's a. They're die cast. You want the Mechagodzilla. I think
it's an amazing toy. It's an amazing piece to you have in a collection. Whether you're a toy collector first, or whether you're a Godzilla collector, whether you're a die-cast collector, whether you're a Japanese toy collector, that one fits all of those, or fits in all of those buckets, and it's a top-tier piece. That's just awesome.
It really is.
Cool. I'm glad you have that in your collection, though.
Yeah, thanks, dude. I mean, we should do. What's the middle of the year? What month is like middle?
Next month.
Next month.
It's like, well, I guess technically it would be like the middle of June. Yeah.
We should do an episode next month where we check in with our top 10 lists. Do a check in and see like what because I think we've both knocked out a couple good.
I guess it would be in 2 days, right? Like, or 3 days, right? Because it'd be June 1st, right? It'd be July 1st. So it'll be a month and 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if you have full,
we'll do something. We'll do something. A couple episodes ahead where we check in with because
I'm struggling
off the top of my head. I know I've gotten a good amount of stuff, but I would have to look at the list to know exactly what I've.
Yeah, my only hope is that because you kind of like because some of your picks were lines. It's like you can get. It's easier to get that one filled because you can get one of the line, but also like you want to buy multiple of the lines. So it's like you can like it to move on because like those two that's one.
Yeah, I'm telling you though, one that's on my list that I know I don't have is a toy graph, and I got 6 months. I got to get one this year.
Well, I'm not going to be getting. I'm not going to be getting my number one anytime soon. Not
what was your number? What was
Neo Player one? The 95, the green 95.
Oh yeah,
which was, $3,000, 3,800. I think the last one was like 3,800.
I don't even remember what my number one. I think my number one might have been these. I don't
so.
know. It wasn't. It was these, but I mixed it with the Billiken. The Billiken diecast. I think I put them all in one. I just, diecast in general, but I would have to look at the list.
I can't remember. No, I've struck out on. Dr. Gory struck out on that. I haven't got mine. Raku 95. Though I think I'm going to grab that one after G Fest. I have a couple leads on that. That's not a hard. Yeah. It just stinks how much they've gone up. But yeah, I'm screwed on the Neo Player ones. The 64 green one, the original, the blue green one, I haven't even seen it available. Even if it was $1,000 or $2,000, I don't even have the opportunity. It's gonna be hard. There. And then the Marmot Towers, it just I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling.
No, I get it.
Struggling. I got like 3, I think, of 10. I think that's, and I might end at 3. But yeah, what a week, dude! You had some great stuff.
Yeah, it's a good stuff. It's like we haven't recorded in like 3 weeks, so.
Hey, now I only got one thing. Come on now.
Some of this stuff was a build-up,
Hey, but I think we're gonna have some stuff coming in soon. I know we've both ordered some things that we've got some notifications that it's shipping, and so hopefully
absolutely
in 2 weeks. Yeah, I know. One we'll talk about in the news, but then also the Mondo sent out some nice news to everybody today or yesterday.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to get those soon, and
that'd be great. Jay, hit me with some news, dude.
So we got some good stuff, and it's a little kind of across the board, mostly toy news because that's what we love talking about, but not all. But first, we have a little bit of sad news, and this is about a week old, but the legendary actor Akira Nakao passed away. We know him from so many Godzilla roles, especially in the Heisei and in the Millennium series. Mm-hmm. He was one of the few guys that had a recurring character, and he always played that great, whether it's a military leader or a diplomat, he had that ambiance, right? But what I didn't know, because it's out of my knowledge, realm of knowledge, was he was multiple decades starring in a show in Japan that was really popular called The Unfettered Shogun, and he was kind of the main bad guy in that for like decades. So like he had a very like big career outside of some of these Toho projects that he did, the 6 Godzilla films that he was in. But I mean, when you see his face, you're just to me, it just puts me back in the Heisei era. Like I'm like same like seeing Megumi Odaka. It's like bam. If I see the cow, it's like I'm going back to the Heisei era. So really sad news, but this happens in fandoms, especially when you have so many films that have been going on for so long that we've lost so many. But Nakao-san was a great actor and a really important part of that era.
Yeah, such a bummer, but yeah, just makes me want to go back and watch the movies he's in.
I know. I'm gonna have to watch Mechagodzilla 2 tonight. But anyway, so moving on to some more happy news. Well, to some people. So this broke about 2 weeks ago. Was Adam Wingard stepping down from the MonsterVerse for the sequel to Godzilla X Kong. Now, before anything, because we've been pretty vocal about what we like and don't like and kind of where the MonsterVerse stands. And, we love it. We go to see it, whatever, but it's not our favorite. Like we embrace it, but it's not our favorite. But we have to say, like, the 2 films that he did, let's take away the critique of the film, what they've done financially and for the overall fandom and franchise has been pretty darn impressive. I mean, he is at like over $1 billion in revenue, box office revenue from his 2 films that he's done. He has, one credited with saving the box office in the COVID years, and the other one is going to end up being the second highest grossing by only like $1 million right now. It's down by $1 million, and probably is not going to get up to Kong Skull Island, but like it's really darn close. It's pretty impressive what he's done. And once again, critique of the films aside. So I'm curious, like, have you thought about where it goes next from a directorial standpoint? Like, do you think there's somebody in line, or do you think they'll just go with kind of a big name, like kind of like shock value type thing? I'm curious.
I don't know. I mean, I like these movies just fine. Like, they're not my favorite in the MonsterVerse, but I don't think he's a bad director by any means. I like him and other things he's done, but I do think it will be nice to have a kind of a fresh take and a different, maybe change the tone of these movies a little bit. I don't know if that's going to happen. Like,
if it's possible,
who knows? Maybe they get whoever is directing, Fast and the Furious 11 to come in and just make the same movie. It's like, it could be, but I would hope that maybe the tone changes a little bit, and maybe we get back to a little more serious. But I don't know. I haven't really given it a thought about who they might get in there, But I think anything new is exciting, If he would have stayed on, it would have been fine, whatever. But I think him moving on is positive, but not positive because I didn't like what he did. I just think it's positive to cycle out and get somebody else to look at these with a fresh eye.
Oh, totally tracking with you. Yeah, and I think he has put his stamp on the MonsterVerse. He's had 2 successful movies. He's allowed it to continue on and more investment into it. And so, and I think, whether we like what I do think he did deliver what he wanted to do in the films, whether we like it or not.
Sure.
I think that it was successful in that regard. And at the end of the day, especially the MonsterVerse, it's about that box office, and they're doing really well. And I'm hoping this gets us something new. And who knows? Maybe it'll be maybe Tarantino will get his chance at Godzilla. No, I hope they kind of bring in another. Not like a famous director, because now that they're attached to so much money, I hope they kind of give somebody else kind of that we don't have any preconceived notions of what they've done at this scale, at least, and give them a chance to do something crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from that. So I had to mention that. So we go from Tinseltown to Tinsel. So back on Marusan's May 8th pop-up Kaiju and Salon Shop, they released 2 new, we always refer to them as Aurora or Aura style, depending on how the translation comes over. But, using that tinsel, that cellophane, in this case, it's not tinsel, it's actually cellophane. But nothing wrong, or nothing, I couldn't play on the words there. was this Mechagodzilla 350 and this Godzilla 99 350. But these pictures don't do it justice. So you know what I did? Coming to Toku Toy Town soon. I went ahead and pulled up one of the Mechagodzillas here because we got him. Look how gorgeous this guy is. Yeah, I mean,
you can't see the teal in the picture at all.
Yeah, and so it is just. I mean, it pops with that pink and teal, the cellophane. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I love their 74 sculpt for Mechagodzilla. I love their 75 too. But this is really, really good. But I wanted to show that little show and tell here. Yeah. But these were two really cool releases. And if you are at G-Fest, we might have a couple of the variants of the Lucky Bag for the 99 as well there. So there's a pink and a teal spine one. So those are really cool. But those will not be on the site. Those are going to be G-Fest exclusives for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So really cool stuff there from Marusan.
Yeah.
But wait, that's not all. Sikaluna Fest festival is coming back to Japan on June 1st. The Katsuchika Symphony Hills in Tokyo. And they being Marusan, are releasing these orthochromatic variants of a couple popular monsters. Now, these are the ones that they've released so far. The Garamon, which is just amazing. It's that black and white marble. And then a Varan. Rumor has it, we cannot confirm or deny this, but that Godzilla 99 and Gamera are also getting the orthochromatic treatment. And these are really cool. I love that Garamon. It's like a ghost Garamon.
Yeah. I'm not usually a monochromatic toy buyer, but the fact that the eyes and the mouth are in color, that is what
100%
knocks these up. Yeah.
And you know, I'm also, of all the gimmicks, and again, I use gimmicks in the most, like, the best way possible.
Yeah.
Marbling is like my least favorite, except for Garamon. I think for some reason of all the kaiju, he looks the best marbled.
He does.
That is a phrase I never thought I would say.
I can't open it because of my thing, but I literally have a Max Toy marbled Garamon right here in my case.
Yeah. So orthochromatic going for Marusan at Sikaluna Fest.
Cool.
Okay, what else we got here? Okay, so this is one that when we were originally going to broadcast or chat last week, this was going to drop the next day, but it lasted a day and sold out, of course. But it's the next wave from Spiral Toy in their sofubi line. So we know that they've done their 2019 Godzilla. I think they ended up doing 2 color variants on that. And now they're doing.
There's more coming, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. I know they teased a lot, but you just never know. Like,
well, there was. I saw somebody recently. They came out and said that soon they'll be releasing one of the other ones. Like that, it's still happening. Some people thought they were canceled, but they're still coming.
Well, and we know that those were done in partnership with, Akamatsu and stuff, and this one as well. But they got Slugbat, who's a popular designer and artist, and to do the design on this 65. And I love it. They're doing 100 of them, 10 inches tall. And then one thing that has changed since then is, like, I'm teasing what Bob Eggleton's involved. He was posting some cryptic stuff, but he did the header art, and it's awesome. Yeah. It is really, really good. So I got to ask you, did you get this one?
No, I did not. I love it. Did I get it? No.
There's a lot of stuff.
You know how it is. Yeah, there's so much stuff. Wasn't able. I didn't even. It didn't even cross my mind to try. With there being such a small run, I was like, yeah.
I did pick it up, and I got the notification that it shipped today. So I was just coming in. Yeah, quick. So they had these ready. This isn't one of those wait a bit, which I do like what Spiral Toy has done. They did that, I believe, with the last 2014 as well. Yeah. It was really close to when they were ordered. But I love this one. I think this is really cool. And I'm glad that it was a different vibe other than just being a different Godzilla than the last one. I like that they're mixing it up a bit. Yeah. So I hope they continue to do good stuff. I didn't know what, like, Spiral, between them and Spiral Studio, like, I didn't know, like, what the long-term was. We hadn't heard from them in a while. I know that I don't know the details, but I know, like, they weren't showing up on Kaiju Live anymore. So, like, I didn't know what the thing was, like the longevity of Spiral Toy was going to be. But hey, they came out with this. So really cool stuff. And they got Bob to do the header art, which was a smart move.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Spiral Toy. Then we got, you sent me this one. Jiros. This is one of those things that it gets you so excited, and then you read the fine print, right? So we knew this was. You look at it. This thing is awesome. I mean, it's truly, I think, my favorite Jiros anything I've ever seen.
Same. It's the best sculpt. It's such a cool sculpt.
It's so good, and it makes sense. It's Nicholas Lestang, so like, I mean, his stuff goes for thousands of dollars. I get it. Like, he knows what he's doing, and I was like, I have a chance to get one for $160, officially licensed by Subaraya. No, because M78, which is a great toy store in Hong Kong, only has the Subaraya rights in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Macau. So these are going there. Will they be available on the secondary market? Of course. Will they be $155 US? No. So, I mean, this thing is 10 inches tall. The good thing is it's scheduled to ship in August. So we'll know sooner rather than later, probably September, when this thing, what they're going to cost. I'm going to be like stalking this thing because it is stunning.
Yeah. It's such a good combination of colors and sculpt.
Yeah. So it is. I would say it's everything that's great about modern sofubi, where it's like it's not as over the top, soft edge and whimsical looking like you do the vintage style. It's a little bit more screen accurate ish, but yet still kind of silly and goofy and soft and bright. And I don't know, this is a home run piece. It's a home run piece. If this had a little bit wider, a wider release. I mean, this one has to be on that short list for 2024 Toy of the Year. Yeah. I mean, I haven't even seen it in person, and I feel pretty confident saying that.
I like, there's subtle things here that are different in this than in most sofubi. I like the arms seem to be going, instead of being straight out, they kind of seem to be a little bit at an angle. I just like the proportions of this a lot.
Me too. It's great. Okay, so what else? Do we have any more awesome stuff? Oh, we do. Because now, I know, right? Prime One Studios, they're coming out with their Godzilla -1 statue, part of their Ultimate Diorama Master Line series. This bad boy right here, with this amazing base, with like light up fire and smoke and buildings and everything, is 27 inches tall, and it will cost you a cool $2,000, but this thing looks imposing and just a work of art. I think this is going to be a hot commodity, even at that price tag.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, the lights bring so much to it. You know what I mean? And the fact that the fins will light up or not, and it's just cool. Man.
It has a title plaque. It has a little bit of everything. I don't know. I mean, Prime One does good stuff. I mean, put them up there with Spiral and all the X Plus, all that stuff. But they're Omega, like this. I mean, everybody's still craving for -1 stuff, right? And this, I think, captures that well. I think it's going to lend itself more to these kind of realistic, bigger pieces than sofubi, right? Just the nature of the. I say that, but Shin Godzilla is like the king of sofubi, so you never know. But also the king of X Plus. So I thought this was really cool. I had to bring that one up. Prime Studios, get everybody's paychecks ready for that one. And this
I was wondering if you were going to have this on the.
Yeah, so I did not get the original, the Super Shogun. They released a Mecha Godzilla, but this metallic one, it's maybe I am. I don't know. This looks really cool. I know the $400 price tag is a lot, and I don't collect Shogun Warrior stuff, so it's not like I have to put this next to my Mazinger and my Godzilla Shogun. But this looks so cool.
Yeah, my thing, like, so I've seen the other one in person, and it's beautiful. It's such an amazing toy. But it's that price tag, dude. Like $400 is so much money for a toy. No, I'm not saying I've never spent that on a toy before, but it's like it's a lot of money. So it is really hard for me to justify it. But I will say that this is one of the best things I think Super 7's ever put out. Like it is top notch. This is such a beautiful toy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if I did have a tie to Shogun Warriors or Mazinger or even have a Shogun Godzilla, like I think it would be more palatable to put that next to it.
Yeah.
But I can't. But this is going to be really hard. I struggled. Like I think I had the other one in my cart for like a lot of many times.
Yeah.
And just didn't pull the trigger. This one, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that again. But we'll see. But yeah, good job, Super 7. I'm glad they are doing a different variant of this one, and this one looks really cool. Okay, so we were talking about this off the air as well. So we heard the news not too long ago that X Plus is kind of basically they're creating a satellite corporation subsidiary, I guess, in Texas and South Texas and X Plus North America, and so their debut figure, kind of as part of that X Plus NA. Is this Godzilla 62, but done Imperial style. So you have the green and the silver chest, and of course, the iconic red lips, the best lips in kaiju film, or excuse me, kaiju collectibles. That'd be awesome if this was in the film. That'd be amazing. Anyway, but this bad boy, what I like about this is, having something stateside will help us, even with like the Shonen Rick store and everything else, from a shipping standpoint, right? And it'll make it a little bit more palatable from a cost standpoint. And you right here, you have a 25 centimeter line, a daikaiju series, a large monster series for $140, which is amazing.
That's so, for X Plus, that's so good.
So great. And so this was released in Houston at Comic Palooza, and the pre-orders will be up soon, is what we've heard, on xplusna.com. So go on there, xplusna.com. I think right now they're just asking for email to get update, to be part of their newsletter. But yeah, I'm really excited. I was expecting a re-release or something like a tweak on something, say, here's our debut. But to go like something totally like a little bit of a home run swing here with this bad boy, different. I love it, man. I love the chutzpah there. That's really good stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff, dude. I mean, it's a good toy, good sculpt.
Yeah,
I'm probably not gonna buy it, but
well, I mean, that's more of it's an X Plus. Like I don't know if I have room, but yeah, I think I can make some room for this one.
My thing with this is like my X Plus collection. I really want to grow it, but for me, I'm not in the market for X Plus that are not just accurate to the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have the space to buy the like cool repaints. Yeah. I think it looks great, but and
I think that's fair.
I don't think this fits in my collection.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have to, like, especially when they are collecting both sofubi and X Plus, it's like what need does X Plus fit for? I mean, it's screen accuracy, right? And this one obviously walks that line, but it's screen accurate sculpt and a whimsical sofubi homage to Imperial 85 type paint job. So yeah, you're right. I mean, if it doesn't fit in the what X Plus needs to do for your collection, then it has to be a pass. But I think it's cool. I love that they're taking a chance here.
It's cool for sure, and it's also just it's just such good news that there's an American, X Plus.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I'm very excited over the next year or so to see what they do and how that grows and stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the Godzilla store. When it opened, it's like we didn't really know what to expect. Is it just going to be Bandai or is it going to be new stuff? And then then they're carrying TYG and Mondo stuff. And Super 7, everything, right? And Marusan and M1. I hope X Plus within the confines of X Plus does that, and they give us some more stuff that's just beyond just it's in Japan, here's the North America release, and do some kind of exclusive stuff here like this one. So I'm very, very excited for what this represents potentially.
Same.
Cool. Okay, and then I think you sent this to me, that Paragon, the replica prop company, and I know you probably have more exposure knowledge of these guys just because a lot of the properties that they do represent you're more familiar with from the collectible standpoint.
Well, Hal Clay knows these people, and he was like, Hal was like, hey, I could get somebody from Paragon on the show if you want. He was like telling me he knows them. I hadn't heard of them until Hal had sent me over. Well, because they were doing, I guess they got a cryo can from Jurassic Park out.
Yep.
and Hal sent it to me, and he was like, "Hey, these guys, I know a couple of these guys. They do great stuff." And then Hal had sent me, because I think they had like posted the Godzilla thing on their Instagram, but then they deleted it or something like that. And then an email went out. I had actually like joined their email because of the Jurassic Park stuff, and then almost immediately it was like, oh wait, they're doing Godzilla now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the Oxygen Destroyer is great, but the Jet Jaguar is what really got me like this. Yes, we got to get them on there to talk about that.
I mean, these are both. So like, if you said to me like, hey, name your top 2 most wanted props from the Godzilla franchise, these are the 2 things I put on there.
Ooh, space titanium pipe would be mine.
Yeah,
it would be up there.
That's doable. Yeah.
But Jet Jaguar,
so you can throw it at the different sides of the computer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude, a 1-to-1 scale Oxygen Destroyer is the most. Yeah. I don't care how much that thing costs. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, that would be. It would.
That's a bold thing to say, and I'm gonna maybe dial back on that later.
$7,000. Yeah.
But I want that.
Yeah.
So badly. Yeah, and
it's
fucking Jet Jaguar, dude. Life-size Jet Jaguar bust, just in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want that payment plan, but I'm getting it.
And that's all I got. Now we get to revisit the Netflix anime.
Cool. We're gonna do this in 10 minutes. Let's go. Just kidding. Yeah, I was kind of. I hit my light. Let me.
Yes.
Dance party.
That's how excited. That's how excited you are.
Where is it? There's like a little button on the cord, and if you hit the button, it just starts doing it.
I love that.
Yeah, I was actually surprised, Jay. You suggested that we, revisit the anime trilogy because you famously hate it more than anybody in the world.
Not true. There are people that really, really hate it.
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people that unjustly hate it, I think. But so you said, hey, let's go back and let's watch them all, and we both did that. And I am excited to know where your feelings lie on this. I don't know how you want to do it. If you just want to like go movie to movie, or what?
Movie by movie. Yeah.
All right, well.
I would say like first off, what really intrigued me about doing this was every other Godzilla film that, or I throw like singular point. They're like that I've liked or even disliked. Like I've had enough exposure and watch. Like I feel pretty like I've watched it in different points of my life, in different scenarios, in different times where like nothing is clouding my judgment or influencing what I think of a film. When these 3 in this trilogy, I have not revisited. It's like my opinion is from 2017 is like the first anime thing probably I've watched. So I have that's now changed not only in just anime in general, but like even anime related to Godzilla and Kaiju, because we have Gamera and Skull Island, and we have of course Singular Point and other things that I've watched, the Ultraman stuff. Like I have more exposure now exponentially than I did back then. So was that clouding my judgment or influencing it in a negative way? Maybe. Had I, other than Shin Godzilla, had we had this like so many different spins on Godzilla that we have now had since then, Singular Point. I mean, yes, Shin was still relatively, like new, right? This, and then like we've had Singular Point, we've had MonsterVerse, for better or for worse, we've had -1, we've had all of this other stuff going on. Does that influence it? And also like I watched them like the first one, and then I was like, and then the second one I was like, like what if I watched them all together? Like what if I watched them in like in one as they're meant to be in a row? Does that change it? And so like there were just so many little bits of doubt that I had about my initial opinions on those, and I think, hey, it's time. And I really wanted to just kind of go there and watch them. So that was like the impetus. That was why, because it just and just so you know, like I would have said before I rewatched this, and my initial opinion was the first one was fine. It was probably my favorite. This is the initial opinion. Probably my favorite. The second one was my least favorite Godzilla film of all time. It was probably right below Megaguirus. And the third one was I likened it to kind of like Rise of Skywalker, right? Like it was better than the second, but it was already so far gone. There's no way it could have got back to as good as the first one was. And the first one to me wasn't great. But they all were bottom tier. Like they were down there with like Megaguirus and Godzilla 2000 for me. They're down there at the bottom, and 98 and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was my initial opinion. So, but yeah, we can talk about the first. I'm curious, like, I know you liked them, but like, where really, like, in the pantheon of Godzilla did they kind of fit?
Sure. So first of all, they're animated, so like, it's just a different style altogether. I think design-wise, they're so far up to the top. I think creature design in these movies is better than a lot of Godzilla film. I mean, like, I think the Godzilla here is amazing. I would put Godzilla Earth, like, it is such. In rewatching these, I was like, I don't have any toys of this, and I need.
Same.
I was like, I need it. I need a fucking Godzilla Earth. He is so gentle looking and like regal looking, but also terrifying. I love this Godzilla design so much. Okay. I always thought the first one was the best one, and I never really rewatched 2 or 3. I was just, I've rewatched the first one here and there, or I would just put it on because it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I still think the first one is the best one. I don't even know where to start here. Like, okay, we'll get into the second and the third one.
Yeah.
I think the first one's the best one. It gets me pumped up. Like, I love the way it ends. To me, it feels kind of like a classic Us Against Godzilla type movie. Yep. It has such a good setup. I like the setup of like Godzilla shows up, destroys everything, and now we're 200 years in the future, 200,000, I don't know how many fucking thousands of years or whatever. And, we're trying to take the planet back, but there's all this weirdness going on, and the plant life is like, it's all a part of, I just think it's like weird enough, but the same enough that it totally works. And in the end, they have this big battle with Godzilla, they destroy him. And then the biggest Godzilla literally in the existence of Godzillas shows up, and they're like, oh my God. Yeah. And to me, that ending is like, I just want to be like, no, what the fuck? Like, it gets me so pumped up, that ending when he comes out of the ground. I think this first movie's pretty good. Am I going to put it like in the top 5 kaiju film? I am not. It's going to be in the middle to the lower middle, just because it's, I don't ever want to disparage a cartoon or an animated film, because I think animated films can be just as good as non-animated. But there's something about seeing, a man in a suit that is always going to win out,
of course,
to animation. So I would definitely hey, I'll tell you this, and this might be blasphemy, but I watched Terror of Mechagodzilla over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I had more fun watching these.
Oh, that is blasphemy.
I mean, listen,
disagree on that one.
Listen, once Godzilla shows up in Terror of Mechagodzilla, it's great. You know what I mean? It's one of the best. I almost texted you this. When Godzilla shows up for the first time, his like introduction in Terror of Mechagodzilla, it's just like him in the middle of the city, and they like do a fast zoom on him. I was like, that is the best Godzilla introduction out of any movie. That is the best one.
Well,
but
we gotta have to revisit Terror of Mechagodzilla.
The first 2/3 of that movie are so boring to me.
Oh, they are not.
Jay, I was so bored with it.
No. Tomoka Ai is so good in it. Oh no, Ichinose. Oh my gosh.
Maybe I was just in a mood. But because I was at a family gathering.
Yeah.
My uncle and his girlfriend were being very annoying during it. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I was like, can we please get to God? Can Godzilla please show up? I was having one of those moments, and I didn't do that in this movie. So, the first movie, like I said, I'm not going to put it up at the top, But as an animated film, it got me pumped up for the second one. I was like, when part 1 was over, I was like, let's do part 2. Let's put it on.
So all that stuff's great. I would say like my takeaways from the first one, like what it got right, the concept of Godzilla, and we had, in my defense, I have always said like the concept here is great. Like I love Godzilla Earth, always have. Most underrepresented Godzilla in toy collectible and no sofubi form. Someone needs to get on that. But I love the concept of Godzilla Earth. I love the radical new world that it's created, that they go to the 20,000 years in the future. Like you said, like everything about that is great. Like the setting and the scene is great. What I notice now more watching it, especially in the context of watching 3 back to back to back, I think my biggest takeaway where I actually like it a little bit less than I did before is not because of like anything like necessarily like specific, like a plot point or a design, because those are all great. It's more like, I think a lot of the problems the whole trilogy does or has, I believe I noticed them more in the first one, watching them all together. I noticed, okay, it started here. And some of the things are like, I think like I noticed that classic anime, like whiny dialogue, whatever. I think that the narrative was really kind of, I think it lacked narrative velocity. I think it was like really one note, like very bleak, right? Mm-hmm. And I like bleak things, but if you don't give a little bit of a hope and optimism, and they do in the final scene, which I think the final scene is by far, it's one of the best scenes, I think, in Godzilla, not just in the anime. And like, it's really good. And I think a lot of that bleakness, I didn't have a connection to Earth at the time that our main characters are originally from. And I think that doing that little quick slideshow of like all the monsters and why they came up, and I just felt there needed to be more time because I had no like emotional connection to Earth. Right. I was like, okay, they're going, and I thought that and because it was all bleak, I didn't know anything else, right? And then I think the biggest thing was, I think the trilogy, one of the big, and we'll talk about this when we wrap it up, but like, I think it's the biggest thing that I really struggle with. I think it has a Haruo problem. I think Haruo is not a great hero and not a great protagonist. And I don't mean great as in like, he always wins and good values. I just mean like, I don't give a shit what happens to him, like, I mean, he is like, I'm like rooting for Godzilla Earth,
Right.
And I think
I agree with that. I kind of, when he kills himself in the end, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I know, right? He's dead. But overall, like, I think of the 3, this is the one that I probably changed my mind, even though maybe it got dropped down a rung or two, maybe the least, because I all the stuff that I liked, I still liked, and I don't change any of that. I think Godzilla Earth is great. I think the ending is great. I just feel like some of the things that I probably like just ignored going through because it was so radical and new. Yeah. Now it's like, oh no, the bad dialogue and like people I don't really care about started here. It didn't start in the second one.
Right.
But overall, like I said, Godzilla Earth is a shining star. And it really is for the whole trilogy.
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But let me tell you my problems with 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why I like the first one better. Mm-hmm. The first one, the stuff that it introduces, it kind of pays off on. It's like, hey, Godzilla's new. We're going to show you a new version of Godzilla. And that's basically all you really need to know. The second and the third movie, they suffer from the same thing. And the thing that they suffer from is that both of them, in the first half an hour of both of those films, they hit you with concepts that are so awesome. Yes. Like, I watched part 2 yesterday. I watched part 2 yesterday and part 3 today. And the beginning of part 2, it starts. And so first of all, one of the things they go out of their way at the end of the first one to be like, hey, this Godzilla's been growing for 2,000 years. This is how big he is. Holy fuck. They never, in part 2 and 3, they never say anything about his size again, and it never feels like you're dealing with a bigger than normal Godzilla. You know what I mean? Like, the scale's not represented ever. Yep. In the first movie, when he comes out of the mountain and his tail is like in slow motion, and
You're like,
you can feel it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my. I'm like, oh my God, what are they going to do?
It
Like,
felt big.
what are they going to fucking do? But then when you get to part 2, it's like, oh, it's just Godzilla. It just feels like, it doesn't feel like a big Godzilla. But
it's a slow Godzilla.
yeah, it's just Godzilla. But here's the thing. The second movie sets up the fact that this Godzilla and Mothra have already fought, and Mothra has lost. And then they set up this entire race of Mothra people, which I love. I love them. I love the Hota. I think they're really cool. They look really cool. I love that their Mothra egg is already here. And it's one line of dialogue, Jay, where they were like, Godzilla defeated our god years ago. And it's like, okay, so Mothra is already dead.
Yep.
We're going to get him.
Mothra always leaves an egg, so you're good there.
And we're going to get a Mothra in this series. We don't. And basically we don't.
Kinda.
And then they also set up this insane version of Mechagodzilla where they're like, hey, we tried to build Mechagodzilla. Godzilla destroyed it immediately. And the metal is smart metal, and it built itself into Mechagodzilla City. And I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, hey, this could be one of the coolest things they've ever done with Mecha. They're like, hey, you know what? We've seen Godzilla fight Mechagodzilla in the traditional sense 10 times. Let's do something different. Let's turn Mechagodzilla into sort of a living city. And it makes you think like, we're going to watch Godzilla fight, a barrage of weapons from a fucking city, and then Mothra is going to show up.
Yep.
And none of that happens, Jay. It sets it up like the first hour of part 2. I'm like, yes, this is going to be amazing. But then it's just like such a fucking lame battle with Godzilla. The city really doesn't do anything with it. It's like a really short. The battles are really. They're stoic. They're in one. There's not a lot of movement, and then Godzilla goes to sleep. And then I'm like, okay, so they just saying fuck you. So it makes me go like, okay, well, Mothra is going to show up in the third one. Then they're setting Mothra up for the third one. Mechagodzilla was a bust, I guess. It's such a cool idea to do that with Mechagodzilla. And I also like. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking a lot.
No.
I like that in part 2, they set up the lore that like Godzilla's basically already defeated Mothra and Mechagodzilla. It happened 1,000 years ago. I like that this Godzilla is like, he's already said fuck you to those things. But they don't deliver on any of the shit that they set up in that movie.
Yes, I mean, I think when we do the full wrap up, there will be this theme of wasted potential, right? I think it'll be this theme of like whether it's mecha, it's like, and to your point, I think you said it best. They deliver on that with the concept of Godzilla Earth, and he comes out and he does deliver on it, right? Yeah. And then Mechagodzilla, we'll talk about Mothra and Ghidorah in a bit, but I actually like this a little bit better than I did the first time. But it was literally my last number 30, whatever at the time. But I think that was because Mechagodzilla one really pissed me off when it didn't deliver on it. And I think I was like, nope, hate it.
Also, I wonder if at the time, you have to remember when these came out, Mechagodzilla was revealed before the movie came out, and there were toys of it. Yep. Like of what Mechagodzilla was. You never see him like that in the movie.
Yeah.
But there were toys and stuff, and I wonder if seeing the toys and the art of being like, whoa, this is what Mechagodzilla looks in this, gave us the preconceived notion that Mechagodzilla was gonna be in it, you would think.
100%.
And then he's not really. Yeah. So,
and I mean, I like I said, I wish, like I said, it was this nano metal, this always evolving stuff. And you're right. I mean, the for what they delivered, I didn't mind. The action seemed like it wasn't super boring to me. I didn't mind it, but like I thought of like what it could have been had it evolved even more. It had more of its monstrous ability within the context of being a city, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like to me, like I think this one, like it was like it was better than I remember because like I know going into it, I'm not getting that. And so that I know there's going to be a little bit of a letdown. So therefore it's a little bit better, but also like, I thought there was even like, so those are the big wasted potential, but even the things like the lore about how like the Tua like have the antibodies that like nanometal doesn't that they can survive the nanometal and everything.
Yeah,
but that's not explained. It's a lot of like just because.
Yeah, and it also another thing that I thought when I saw this movie is so the girl gets infected with the nanometal.
Yeah,
and the one guy's like, I can't
go.
remember any of their names. He's like, yeah. She might live, but she's probably just like never gonna wake up,
Yeah.
And what I thought they were setting it up for a human to be infected with the nanometal. I thought that she was somehow going to maybe control the Mechagodzilla or something and be like
the terror of Mechagodzilla.
Be like exactly. I thought she was gonna be like an android hive mind or something to pilot the Mechagodzilla.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh man, that'd be such a cool, thing to do with Mechagodzilla. And then instead, she literally never wakes up again.
Nope.
It's like, oh no, she's out of the picture.
She's a prop
for the whole rest of the fucking trilogy.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I thought, like I said, there's just a lot of like, once again, it's just like missed opportunities to push it even further. And I was just shocked how many they could. It's almost like they had a game. Like, how many times can we like not deliver on a really cool concept? They got the hard part right. They got the concept. Like, it's different and it's unique and it's cool. And then they just
that's the hard part. Just make it cool. Just make them do cool stuff. Yeah, dude. I that's how I feel about the second film. And then they tease Ghidorah at the end of which I think is a cool way to set that up, to have the scene earlier in the movie where he whispers something and you don't hear it, and then they come back and let you hear it at the end. I think that's cool. I think part 3 does the exact same thing. It spends the first hour of the movie setting up this really weird, other dimensional, planet-eating Ghidorah that you're just like, oh my god. Okay, so like it sets up this whole like cult of Ghidorah, and I was like, I'm in. I love this. Ghidorah, speaking Ghidorah's name invokes him to come to your planet and eat it. I'm like, I'm into this. Ghidorah is fucking weird looking. I'm into all of this. And when Ghidorah shows up, and it's like, he doesn't show up on any of the systems because he's a different dimensional being. Yeah. I was like, this is blowing my, it's like Singular Point. You know what I mean? It really feels like, it fails where Singular Point was able to take weird concepts and do them
deliver.
Right. Deliver. So, but I mean, once it gets to the Ghidorah scene, it's just Ghidorah biting Godzilla and Godzilla doing this.
Yeah. If you thought the Mechagodzilla, it's this. If you thought the Mechagodzilla city battle was slow and boring and stoic, this goes another level. They're like, hold my beer.
And then one of the things I do like is that you do get. I mean, it's a classic thing with Godzilla. He's always the villain at first, and then towards the end, he's either helping or people learn, hey, Godzilla's not a monster. He's another creature. We got to treat him with respect. And I like that the movie takes that route. And I like that towards the end, they're like, well, we now are relying on Godzilla to defeat Ghidorah. But once he's able to actually fight Ghidorah, he slaps one head, it disappears. He breaks the jaw of one head, it disappears. And then he just shoots his. It's like the quickest. Battle of all time. And I'm like, well, they just spent an hour talking about how Ghidorah eats universes and shit, and we don't even see its full body. You know what I mean? It's like it's just gone. That was it. It's such a fucking like, it feels like such a cop out, and it's so annoying. And then the Mothra stuff is like it happens in his brain, and I think that's the one concept they were hoping like, all right, we're going to do a weird Mothra thing. I think all the other weird concepts are good. I think the Mothra just like being a shadow in his brain, I hated it. I was like, no, I want to see Mothra at this point. Yeah. You've been building Mothra up.
Yeah, I think the Mothra is a total throwaway and just fail on all levels. I agree with everything you said to Ghidorah. I love the Exifs, like their backstory, how they even like basically raised their own people to be eaten by Ghidorah, and then only a couple priests went out to like basically harvest civilizations, then to get eaten by Ghidorah. I think it is such a cool, great, like awesome thing. The multi-dimensional being, love it. Everything you said, 100% agree. I think why I like this one may be better than I do like it better than the second one, even though it's a big miss on the execution of a great concept, is I think they got a few more things right with a few, like, I think like I said, the origins of the Billo Saluto weren't as cool as the Exif. I think that's a really cool thing. I think the post-credit scene tying back to like the civilization and kind of worshiping or not worshiping, excuse me, like basically throwing away the kids, like the negative thoughts and stuff, is kind of like a tribute to Haruo. I think that is really cool. I think it kind of brings the whole story to a better conclusion than before the credit scene. I think the final act, I think the Haruo's like committing suicide with Yuko, and kind of basically so nanometal cannot be discovered by anybody.
He's taking out the last technology.
It's like, it's one of those things, like I love it and I hate it, right? Like I was like, oh man, I wish I could have had almost a more happier ending, but I get it, and I think it was well done. I think a lot of that stuff is really good. There just was more wasted stuff. I mean, I think the whole, like the mothership, like it's been circling there for like 3 movies, and then just Ghidorah just kills it in like 2 seconds. Like there's no like real payoff there. Right. The Haruo Metphis thing, like it's a little confusing at the end, where, you know, obviously Metphis used Haruo and tricked him, but yet he's still really sad when Metphis is dying. Like I get that there's something there that probably could have been explained a little bit better.
Well, he knew him since he was a kid. He saved him when he was a kid.
100%. So it's like the complexity of him not being able to shed the fact that he was using him away in the last moments. You know, we don't have to talk about the Connect Life, but you know, gotta throw that in there. Good for Haruo, right, man? I think there's a lot of really cool stuff, and I think that even though there might have been even more misses in Planet Eater, I think it had more hits than the last one. And I really like the post-credit scene a lot. I do too.
I do too. Here's my biggest bummer with the whole trilogy. The fact that there's the fact that it didn't do super well. A lot of people were heavily negative on it. Bums me out, because I think the design, especially the design of the kaiju, the weird concepts are all top tier. Like they're top tier, and I want to see more of that stuff. And I feel like the whole trilogy sets up, like, the 3 films set up a world where humans are coexisting with Godzilla. Like that's the goal. The goal at the end of the movie, those credit scenes are, we're going to respect this creature. This is a force of nature. We're not going to try to kill it. We're sharing the earth with it. Real grass starts growing. The world is getting back to normal. We're going to live with Godzilla. To me, it sets up the world where Godzilla is a protector. And watching the end of that movie makes me think, okay, so the next movie, Godzilla's a good guy, and he's going to fight some other kaiju. You know what I mean? And I think these movies, the designs and the concepts are so good that even though as a trilogy this kind of fails, I think it deserves another chance. And I want to see it continue, maybe with some different writers in the writers' room. I wouldn't get rid of everybody, but I think it needs a more focused direction. But I want to see it keep going, because I love the look of it. I love this Godzilla, and I want to see another film in this. But it's not. I mean, it's not going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, I think my kind of, I wrote down a few like things as far as like if I had to like sum up my thoughts on it, like good, bad, and my overall, what's my opinion on it now versus when I first saw it. a lot of the stuff, it's what we've talked about, because I think a lot of the things that they got wrong in each of the and right in each of the movies, like it was throughout all three. It wasn't like, oh, this one and you know, in film one it was this and film two was that. No, I think it was pretty a through line throughout the three. The concepts of Mechagodzilla City, Godzilla Earth, Ghidorah was bold. It was great. It was different. It was really good and could be utilized still again. It could be done in a different way, to your point. I agree with you. I think Godzilla specifically, but overall the world looked great. Like visually, like it was very cool and different, but it looked good. Like from an artistic standpoint, I enjoyed being in that world, watching that world. What it got wrong, and like I said, in very broad strokes, I think it suffered from a few things. To me, why I didn't love it was it's a lot of tell and not a lot of show. You know, it was a lot of this happened in the past. Like, is it better for Metfeast to explain it, or for us to have a weird flashback at the beginning of the episode of his people get eaten by Ghidorah, and you're like, why does he like this? Why does he worship Ghidorah? You know, like these are not hard things. These were like basic things that I felt like they just missed on. And there was so much stuff it referenced like in the past. We have no visual cues of that. It's they explain everything without showing us. And you can get by with that a few times, but then over and over and over and over, it's like, I don't know this world. I don't know anything other than like this narrow lens I'm viewing it through. I think they have a Haruo problem. I'm a big believer that you have to have somebody that you can latch onto as a viewer to get fully engulfed in the world. Your
main character can't be the worst character.
The worst character. And like I said, I got to the point where I was like, no, Godzilla, go Godzilla, you know, and Hatua. I think that the other characters, once again, I felt they were just kind of, they just represented a singular philosophy. It's like the Exif believe in this. They're all one dimensional, right? And the big miss that we didn't even talk about a lot. Well, you talked about like what she could have done, but I think Yuko could have been that really good kind of cautious tale, the cautionary tale of a human that got too enamored with the technology of the nanometal. That could have been something there, but there was no everything. Everybody was just a singular like philosophy represented by a character, right? And it wasn't. There was no depth there. And the doctor was like the total Deus Ex Machina. It's like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. It's like the one guy can do everything. The other thing that I think we didn't talk about, because the concepts were good, I thought maybe the biggest flaw for me, other than just missing like executing those concepts, was the messaging. And I thought it was a little hit you over the head that, okay, number two movie, Bill Saluto, technology obviously is bad. Godzilla defeats it. You know, Earth and primitivism and natural organic world better than out of control technology. Okay. Then it's like the second one or the third one, religion is bad. Cult stuff, like, no, that's not going to work either. But then the third one, it's like, at the end of the third one, it's like, yes, primitivism and organic also they went out, but also they also have a religion. They're also like worshiping an egg.
Yeah, right.
So
it's another.
I feel like I was like, well, wait a second. And I felt it was very structured. Like film one, humans. Film two, Bill Saluto. Film three, Exif. And it was a very kind of like structured. I thought that was a big like. I was very blurry on the message, and I felt like it was trying to say it, but it couldn't get it out right. It's like we're a podcast.
It feels like
I can't say it right.
Yeah. Well, it feels like they didn't really have a grasp on the messaging, and maybe they were like, do we put him at it? Like, does it need, is this a movie with a message, or can it just be Godzilla fighting Mechagodzilla? And then it's like, maybe they couldn't make up their minds. So
it's like, well, if you're priest, then it's bad religion. If you're like hot moth ladies, then yes, you could have religion. But the big question. Oh,
hold on. You're telling me my entire life, when I like thought it was weird that I thought Mothra was hot, but now in this movie, you're going to make Mothra like a girl and she wants to fuck?
Yeah, twins.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
anime, freaking anime.
I'm into that version of Mothra. I can fuck Mothra now. Okay.
But the big question: did it change my opinion of the over trilogy? And the answer is it's complicated, but yes, I would say this. I noticed, and I'm aware of more of the like flaws of why I didn't like it than I did the first time. But I enjoyed it a lot more. I really did. I'm watching it, and I thought it, like I said, I thought the first one ended strong, and the third one ended strong. It wasn't like, if you would have asked me after the first one, I'd be like, oh, it's boring, and there was a lot of techno babble. I disagree with that. It was not boring to me at all on this watch, and it was not a lot of techno babble. It was a lot of bad dialogue, and it was a lot of showing. But at the end of the day, like, I think overall the concepts are so unique, and we've seen it now executed well. Singular point, -1, even though I would argue that by the new concepts, we've had that conversation. I feel like I saw in a different light. It's still at the bottom tier of my stuff. I do like it better, and I enjoy it. And I would rewatch it and do it without a gun to my head. I would be like, oh yeah, sure.
Cool.
And I think I took a lot of it. I do, like, right when I got done watching the third one, literally had the post-credit scene just ended, and I was looking for what Godzilla Earth collectibles are out there that I'm not aware of, right?
Same.
And that's a good sign. But yeah, I'm so glad we watched this, Jake. I cannot tell you. I'm so happy. I don't like it. Is none of these three are my bottom one anymore. Mega Gears has reclaimed that spot, and it will never ever leave that spot.
Good. I like that, Jay. I like that you came out a little lighter on these. And I kind of did the same thing. I have rewatched these before, but I've never rewatched them where I'm paying attention to them. You know what I mean?
It's a background.
It's the thing where I'm like, hey, you know what? I got to draw something for work. I'm going to put a Godzilla movie on, and these are on Netflix, and I can at least every couple of minutes like look over and be like, oh shit, look at that. Then go back to what I'm doing. This is the first time I watched them like paying attention all the way through and like, listening to what they're saying. And I think I did the same thing. I realized why I dislike them a little better, but I also I ended up coming out of it this time liking those weird concepts even more. I think the first time I wasn't big on the Mechagodzilla thing, but I was super into it this time. I was like, oh my god! I was like, hey, if you could fucking make another sequel to this and expand on the Mechagodzilla thing, and then also finally give me season 2 of Singular Point with that crazy fucking Mechagodzilla from the end, then I will, Mechagodzilla will be my favorite kaiju. So, dude, I'll put these on too. Like, these are movies that I will put on here and there, mainly to fill the dead air in the house while I'm doing something. And so I can look over and be like, oh shit, Ghidorah's crazy looking in this, because
I love his faces.
I do think all the design work is like, it's top tier. I think Bandai put out like a really huge Godzilla Earth, and it was like, it was before the movies came out, I think. Do you remember this? Did they not put out like a 3-foot?
I don't know if they might have been made. I don't know. I know X Plus did, but then you had the Ghidorah and the Servum. They were released Bandai Movie Monster series, and so was Godzilla Earth, a couple variants, and then Sega did one as well as a Crane prize, which is a popular one. But I don't know if there was a bigger Bandai. There probably was.
I'm pretty sure that there is a. Oh yeah, hold on. There's a gigantic.
Oh, nice!
Like, look at that.
Yeah,
let's get that. Let's both buy that.
Done.
I don't remember who, but it's. I remember when it came out being like, "What the fuck?" It's just a giant. I think I probably have. I think I might have a Godzilla Earth somewhere, but just like one of the little. Yeah. It might have just been the standard like Bandai that came
the
out.
Movie Monster. Yeah, and Bandai did a one that was like all clear, like blue, like a clear blue that was really cool. But the other thing, Jake, I was thinking like on this other takeaway for me was I think this is something that probably should be watched like pretty close together. I think the separation works better because the second one really like you really have to like right when that first one ends, like you really get excited for the second one, right? And so I think like being able to play on that, it makes a little bit of some of the flaws.
But it does. But another here's a negative to that. I don't remember how long it was between movies when they first came out, but I remember, you put the first one on, it ends with a big Godzilla, and then you don't get Godzilla for like an hour into the second movie. Like there is a lot of other stuff. When you watch them close together, that's not a good thing. It's crazy because like the last thing you see in the first movie is like, oh my God, they're all going to be dead. Godzilla's the biggest. It's literally, it's
just
so
building the tension. It's like,
it's so ominous, and you're like, oh my God. And then the second movie starts, and it's literally an hour of zero Godzilla. And then when he does show up, it's just a Godzilla. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, that kind of takes it.
Oh, that's a good point.
They don't. The second movie does not start right where the last one ends. It starts with like flashbacks, and you see a lot of other stuff, and they start talking about Mechagodzilla City. Like it's like Godzilla's gone for a bit.
Yeah.
They take him out for a good chunk of that second movie, and it kind of kills the momentum to me.
Yeah. Well,
whatever.
Each their own. But no, I'm excited. This was a fun one to do. I don't know if there's. I'm trying to think if there's anything other than 2000 and Mega Gears that we could like revisit that would we have a negative opinion on or not a 100% positive opinion on.
Sure. Yeah, there's some. We'll find one. We'll watch something. Yeah, dude. I think these are definitely. I think anybody who didn't like these should give them a rewatch. I think they're worth a rewatch. I think we were all a little. We were a little hard on them when they came out. I mean, we're still a little hard on them, but it's like there's 40 Godzilla movies, so
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, Jay, you got anything else?
I got nothing, man.
You want to get out of here?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. We'll see you guys. Yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Howdy, I'm Michael, also known as Sweaty Vinyl on Instagram, and I collect toys. Some of my favorite toys to collect are from Max Toy Company, so I was super excited to find out that both Mark and Max Nagata from Max Toy are coming to Kaiju Go this year. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Max Toy Company, let me show you a few reasons why I love them so much. Do you like Gearamon? It's Geara On! They've got Sofubi Man and Woman, Kanagon, Bamstar, Taisho, Chip, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, and even my man, Mr. Zazan. Now that's a lot to like. I've been super lucky over the years to also get some of Mark's custom pieces, and I'm hoping that finally at Kaiju Go I can get one of Max's customs as well. And if we're super lucky, we may even get an event exclusive. Now, if that's not enough reason to get your tickets for Kaiju Go, I'll let you know that also some of my favorite vendors from last year are coming back, like Toku Toy Town, Toy Matrix, and one of my personal favorites, Michael Moore's. They also have food from Sushi Dojo, and believe it or not, we're finally gonna get Godzilla vs. Biollante on the big screen. What? This is gonna be the best Kaiju Go yet. Get your tickets!